Hey everybody, Mr. Wagner here. Okay, so we are on pong16. We are getting really close to having this game running and in polished up positions. Okay, so we're gonna hit run. There's a couple things that are bugging me about the game. One is the ball sometimes gets caught behind one of the paddles and sort of does some weird stuff. So we're gonna see if we can get that to work a little bit better. The other thing is sometimes these spaces are kind of off kilter, and I'd like to have that all centered up and looking real pretty. So let's get to work. Okay, so pong16. Now, I did a little bit of thinking about the ball when it hits the paddle, okay? And let's go down to this code and we're gonna look at it where the ball hits the paddle. Right here, collision detection with the right paddle or with the left paddle. Okay, so on line 142, we're saying the ball X plus the ball half. So the right side of the ball, is greater than the paddle X, so the right paddle X. So we're saying the ball is hitting the paddle, right? And we're saying, the next two lines is we're saying, and the ball is within the top and the bottom of the paddle. Okay, the top and the bottom of the paddle, okay? So, that being said, what happens if the ball goes beyond the paddle and then the paddle moves up? Then suddenly it's behind the paddle and that if statement is connecting. And I think that's where we're getting our bug, okay? So I think what we're gonna do here is we are going to also check to see if the ball is beyond the paddle and make sure that if it's beyond the paddle, we're not reversing the sign. Because I think that that's what's causing the problem. Early on when I wrote this, I was like, yeah, we only need those three sides, but I guess we need all four. So let's see here. So line 142, let me go right here and we're gonna say ball X minus the ball half. Okay, so that is the center of the thing. So this is the left side of the ball is less than R paddle X plus R paddle width. Okay, so that's basically saying the left side of the ball is less than the right side of the paddle. Sometimes you actually have to draw this out with a little piece of paper and really figure out what you're doing, okay? I've been doing this for a long time, so I know how to sort of reason this stuff out. Similarly, let's see here, left paddle, so we're gonna say ball X plus the ball half. Okay, so the ball X plus the ball half is the right side of the ball is greater than the left paddle X. So that would be the left side of the the left side of the left paddle, okay? And if you look at these are almost like identical codes with pluses and minuses that are flip-flopped and stuff. And sometimes this stuff will just take a long time to really figure out. But let's see if that works, okay? So let's run this. Oh, look at that, expected a colon. So, oh, I see what we got here. So we need a and then a backslash, and then here we need a and a backslash. Remember that backslash character basically allows me to have, you know, multiple lines of the single Python line. It's a continuation character is what they call that. So let's run. And let's see if we can get this thing to bounce on the backside. God, it would help if I could play this game. I think what you're going to find though is it starts working a lot better. Because I did a lot of testing with this earlier. Up, new game, hit end to start a new game. Okay, so I think we're in pretty good shape. So that cleaned that up. Now, just so you know, Python, take that back, Pygame has a command called rect, where you can define a rectangle. And there is some raw code that you can use Pygame to like check to see if one rectangle hits another rectangle. And in many ways, that's exactly what we got here. We got a ball, which is kind of bounded by a rectangle, hitting a rectangle. So it's a rectangle, and you can do what's known as collision detection within Pygame. And that's all compiled code, so it's real fast. Here, this is a little bit slower because we're doing a lot of calculations, okay? And we're definitely gonna be using that when we do breakout. But in this case, I wanted you to really see where the math was, you know, where the ball and the variables were bouncing, okay? All right, so the next thing we want to do in pong16 is we would like to get the text to be, I don't know what you call it, like centered, okay? So I'm gonna see what I can do to center up that text. And I've already figured that one out. Lines 172, 75, 78, those are basically where we're drawing things. We're drawing the left score, the right score, and the message, okay? So let me show you the commands that get the thing to work out. And it's basically this. We're gonna say text rect, okay? So the rectangle of the text is equal to text image, okay? So we've created a text image here on 172, and text rect, we are getting the rectangle from the image. So we're gonna say dot get rect, okay. Now, this whole dot thing is basically how we're working with objects, and text image happens to be an object, and do not worry about that right now. The next videos we're going to do, I'll be introducing objects, and object-oriented programming is a whole nother animal, but I wanted to keep Pong nice and simple and clean, okay? So text rect equals that, and 174, let's say text rect dot mid top, okay, equals 450, comma 10, okay. So what these two lines do is basically I'm getting the rectangle of the image, like how big that text is, right? And then I'm setting the new center line for that text. And then the screen blit, basically I need to put text rect right here. And what happens right there is Python takes care of it, okay? And it'll do that. So these three lines of code are basically the same here and here. So I'm gonna do a copy paste, Command C, Command V. Now the right score is at 450, right? So the left score, I'm gonna make that at 350, okay? Now in reality, you could have that as a calculated field based upon screen width and stuff, but I'm just simple argument. We'll just put it right there. And then we are going to do the same thing with our message, and we're going to put our message at 400, comma 100. So, because we know that 400 is the dead center of the screen and we wanted 100 down. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. And look how nice, isn't that beautiful? That's so nicely put right there. You know what, I kind of want that down just a little bit more. I'll put that at 200. Let's try to run. There you go, beautiful, look at that. Look at that, all right. Isn't this fun? So, anyway, you know, at this point, I would say we have gone through the entire Pong game. And you should be very proud of yourself if you've kept up with it all and you sort of understand it. The more you program, the better you're going to get at it. And the more you tweak and play and try to understand it and try to figure it out, the better off you are. And if you have any questions, please, 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 please shoot me an email, support@codewithmrwagner.com, and I'll be sure to answer it and help you out and give you whatever is needed, okay? Let's talk about just a few things that we could possibly do to this Pong game to even make it better. For one, our ball is moving, you know, pretty fast, I would say, right? But could you imagine if say, for instance, you know, the right side won the game, then maybe the ball gets going a little bit faster. Or maybe if you're showing this game to, you know, like a little, I don't know, 7-year-old or something, maybe you would want the game to go slower. So you could add a difficulty to that. And remember that choice where it's -3 or 3, you could put a variable in there and make it, call it speed or something like that. And you could make the speed of it go a little bit faster. So that's one thing you could do. Let's see here. Obviously you could make it a 2-player game. Like right now our green paddle has a little bit of, what do you call that? Artificial intelligence to go up and down. But you know, you could use like the A and the Z key to make the green paddle go up and down. You could figure that out. Notice my paddle will go off the screen, okay? I kind of don't like that, but you could get it to stop going off the screen. And what you would do to do something like that is you would say, okay, if say right paddle X, if right paddle Y is less than 0, then set right paddle Y to 0, okay? That'll keep that from going off the top. Or you would say if right paddle Y plus right paddle height, the height, so that bottom corner of the paddle is greater than the screen height, then you set right paddle Y to the screen height minus the paddle height, you know. So there's a lot of those little things, and you got to tweak with those variables and really think about what the numbers are that you're using. So you could get that to work. Obviously you could change all kinds of colors. I mean, I put in very primary colors, but feel free to play with the colors. This is just standard old RGB colors. It's the same colors that every website uses. Every website uses that RGB color scheme to be able to figure out what colors. And the other thing that I was thinking about is, you know, you could almost put like little squares or something in here, and if the ball hit a square, maybe it would bounce. So you could have like obstacles or something. You know, that would be kind of neat. And then of course, you know, sound and graphics and stuff like that. And we're obviously going to get into sound and graphics, like your paddle could look like a, you know, like a spaceship or something like that. Those are called sprites, and we're going to be talking about those in the next 2 modules. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I really love programming this kind of stuff, and I really love playing with it. Again, this first Pong game, I've tried to make it as simple as possible, just introducing the smaller concepts. In the next couple of modules, we're going to introduce things like functions, which are very important, and also object programming, because most of the programming out there in the world is with objects, and you kind of at least need to get to know how to use them. Whether you can define them or not, that's a different story. So until then, everybody, thank you, and I'll see you in breakout. Bye.